and extract. Well, that was creepy as fuck. For an unknown period of time, I was crouching down. Not a single moan escapes me. My throat has been pierced by a rotting branch. My tongue was the first to be pulled out. My vocal organ had been carefully destroyed to silence me. I have no body, just struggle in pain. My limbs have been completely severed. It's as if only my heart is still living. My body stopped working long ago, but my sense of pain alone has yet to fail me. Living and being in pain are one and the same. As long as I continue to exist, even as only a heart, the pain won't stop. For a long time, I had been left in this sunny spot. It is hope at its highest and despair at its deepest. How idiotic. It must be some detestable figment of my imagination. A misunderstanding coming from my insufficient awareness and inadequate experience. I repeat the cycle of pain and relief. It reminds me of the exercise repetition I supposedly experienced in my childhood. Up to heaven, down to hell, west-east. Like a cradle, a paradise of blooms without an exit. It's not painful to have no limbs, to lose myself bit by bit. I'm just scared. I'm scared of being nothing. I can't bear the lie of ceasing to be anything. If nothing comes of this, then this is nothing more than suffering for the sake of suffering. My body is on the verge of death. While desperately wishing to die, I frantically wish to continue living. That contradiction. Men of older times called it hell. To be honest, I didn't want to die. For a long time, she was in a state of suspended animation. I hear something. Click, click. It sounds like pebbles hitting each other and is somehow rhythmical, reminding me of the lively polka. With an absent mind, I listen only to that sound. Where am I? I can't remember. No, I don't feel like remembering. My indolence is embarrassing. It's ridiculous how I awake, but my mind and will are still asleep. I strain my lumbering head and limbs and crack the whip at my mulish body. Pushing my arms downwards, I slightly pop up my body that was lying face down. I seem to be on a couch. How long have I been sleeping? When I tried to recall that, what I tried to recall, where I am in the first place, my forehead is struck by severe pain. And I feel dizzy. It's almost like the morning after a bout of heavy drinking. I have the bad habit of showing off by drinking all night despite being a weak drinker. But luckily, there isn't a trace of alcohol inside me. Where? Oh, she's talking. While still mentally unfocused and unsteady, I check my surroundings. I ought to be in a mansion. I don't recognize it. I can't recall why I am here and why I have been asleep until now. The sound continues. Oh. There's no clock. It's pitch black outside. My gut is telling me it's past midnight. Inside, no. I can't see at all. Not only do my arms and legs feel heavy, but my vision has also been weakened. It appears. I know the layout of the room, but it's too blurry for me to get a good view of it. Still, I attempt to grasp my current situation, and I finally notice that in front of me, someone is sitting with his back faced towards me. It is too dark for my weakened vision, so I can't quite make it out. I can still tell that it is the shadow of a man. The man is sitting and looking downwards. He is in a reading posture and paying no notice to me. It looks as if he is engrossed with something. What is he doing? I slowly push myself up and look at his hands. It was easier for my arms and legs to recover than it was for my mental ability and vision. Once I start moving, my mobility will increase the more I move. It's not a book he's occupied with. I believe it is a picture puzzle. A simple game with the picture broken up into 16 pieces. One of the pieces is removed and the rest are shuffled and then moved into the open block to bring it back into the original picture, I think. It's an amusement. It's an amusement aimed at children that everybody has picked up at least once. He is still occupied with the puzzle. I stopped looking at him and raised myself up to a sitting position on the sofa.
目が覚めたか、マスター。
He says as if he were an old friend of mine. Yes, master. I'm startled by my mumbled voice.
なんだよ。まだ寝てんのか、あんた。
Yes, she is.
ほら、いい加減目を覚ませよ。目が死んでるぜ。いつもの生真面目さはどこ行った？
Cause she is dead now. He laughs viciously. His voice is irritating, but I don't feel any anger. Stunned. I look at him in confusion.
私はどうして？
That question came first. No matter how hard I try, I can't remember why I had been asleep. He furrows his eyebrows, odd considering I can't see very well, and points to the corner of the room. There is an old, dull mirror in the corner.
自分で確認しろよ。あんたは何でも自分一人でできるんだから。
I walked up to the mirror on unsteady feet. There isn't any lighting and the pale moonlight sharpens the darkness. There is a cloudy mirror abandoned for many, many years in this forsaken mansion. In it, looking at me stunned, is unmistakably myself. A beauty. My voice slips out. This doesn't make any sense. Why am I startled at seeing the body that I had grown up with for more than 20 years? Dark red hair and eyes. An unlikable figure, useful only for intimidating others. What? An armor of male attire that denies any femininity. This is me. The same old me. The same plain old Bazett fragra remits. And yet, I am still startled. I can feel that there is something wrong with the figure shown in the mirror. As if there is something extra and as if something that ought to be there is missing. I think it's something that ought to be missing is there. Just as that paradoxical notion entered my mind,
落ち着いたか？なら手っ取り早く殺しに行こ
he said some shit like
う。
that.
お互いやられっぱなしは性に合わねえだろマスター。
Wait, y'all lost? With that one word, he erased a small doubt that something was out of place. Master. Why had I forgotten that word? The battle for a miracle, 7 Magoi, putting their lives on the line, the master of the ultimate familiar wielding the Holy Grail. That is why I am here. To participate in the great ritual known as the Holy Grail War of this Asian island country. The Holy Grail is a holy artifact said to grant the wishes of its master, but there has yet to be one who has obtained the true Holy Grail. It is ultimately no more than a legend. The Holy Grail summoned in Fuyuki is a imitation based on this legend. However, though it may not be the original, as long as it is a powerful artifact that grants wishes, it is called a Holy Grail. To the Magi, the matter of true and false is a lesser issue. Right. The reason why Emiya is a hard counter to Gilgamesh with his fake phantasms. God, stretching out. The main concern is whether or not that imitation is powerful. In that case, the Holy Grail in Fuyuki could be said to be of great
かの
concern.
地にて召喚される第726号聖杯は新作となる可能性が秘められている。我らが理想とする秩序に基づき、これを人の世より隔離せよ。
That was the decision of the Mages Association, an organized self-defense body for the concealment of magic. The Holy Grail War of this land is a competition between Magi. There is a limit to the number of participants. The association was allowed only one seat. The person to be chosen was one who was a specialist at combat. A person that was suited to use magic not for the sake of academia, but as a weapon. It is a Far Eastern island country's ritual, one that has nothing to do with the faction struggles within the association, and it's nothing but a nuisance. A battle where defeat is not allowed, but victory would bring no glory. I was selected for that very battle. This meant using an artifact passed down within my family as the summoning catalyst for my servant. Carrying the burden of the prestige and trust of the association and the means to fight, I
我
departed.
々はわずかな不安も抱かない。そうだろう？バゼット・フラガ・マクレミッツ。
Fraga.
君は優秀な魔術師だ。こと戦闘において君の右に出る者はいない。いては君の立場が危うくなるからね。
Laughing spitefully, they saw me off. As I said, it was only in combat that they had absolute faith in me as well as derision. God's holder, traditional carrier. The other name I was called by, an ability in magic making use of the old blood passed down in my lineage that determined who I am.
そうだ。私はマスターとして聖杯戦争に参加した。
Now you get it. To fight in and win the war as a Magus of the association. That is my mission. That alone should have been my mission. Memories. But why? I have a vague feeling that I was looking for something other than the Holy Grail. Yeah, who? Something or someone. If that was the case, There may have been someone I wanted to meet more than getting the Holy Grail. I can't remember what happened to me in the last few days. I know who I am, but what happened later, what happened since I came to Fuyuki is a blur. I remember joining the battle as a master. I remember patrolling the city with my servant. But there are still many blanks the last few days, that's right. My memory of everything that had happened since I came to this city has been clouded. Why have I been sleeping in this house in the first place?
おーい。いつまでもボケっとしてんじゃねえぞ。時間もねえんだ。さっさと片付けに行こうぜ。
Hearing his voice. The figure that is speaking to me, he is a servant, a being given form from the summoning of a legendary hero, what is called a heroic spirit. They are the most powerful familiars that a human being can control. There is a path between master and servant to supply magical energy. My magical energy, or to be more direct, my life energy is what powers that servant. I can tell that my body is acting as a wedge that pins this servant to this plane of existence. He is definitely my servant. But still, was this the servant I
お前
summoned?
は私のサーバントなのか？
I asked while struggling with this headache. The servant rose up and is now staring at me, finally noticing that something is amiss.
へえ。あんたさ、その様子からすると、まだ本調子じゃねってこと？
Apparently she isn't. The shadow sways almost like a flame. I can feel it in my guts. This man may be my servant, but he is certainly not on my side. This is the sort of wild animal that would kill his master to become free as soon as he gets the chance. The relationship between master and servant is not based on trusting among employer and employee. It is only a relationship of cooperation based on mutual gains and losses. Letting down one's guard show even the slightest weakness means risking being stabbed in the back by that very instant.
心配して相棒様が聞いてるんだぜ。答えるのが筋ってもんじゃねえの？
そうですね。正直に言うと、私の性能は低下しています。運動に支障はありませんが、意識に混乱が見られます。特に昨日の記憶が曖昧だ。
Beg. There is no benefit in hiding the cloudiness in my memory. I look back at the servant and reveal my current disorder. However, I didn't reveal what had to be hidden. I cannot tell him that my vision has weakened or that my memory is not vague but rather missing. These are my current weaknesses. If I told him, the servant would immediately bare his fangs at me. The best I could do is behave normally while getting information from the servant and trying to recover my
記
memories.
憶が曖昧？俺を呼んでおいて何も分かってない。聖杯戦争のことも自分が誰かも分からないってのか？おいおい待てよ、勘弁してくれ。それじゃあズブの素人と組んだ方がいくらかマシじゃねえか。
Like you are right now.
いえ、自分が何者なのかははっきりしています。あなたを召喚したことも、マスターとして聖杯戦争に参加したことも覚えている。曖昧なのはその後だ。例えば、どうして私がここで眠っていたのか、どうもよく思い出せない。
Yeah, that's an important thing. Without showing any sign of weakness, I tell him the truth. Whether it worked or not, the taint of suspicion that the servant had been carrying grew
質
fainter.
問を返しますが、私はどうしてここで眠っていたのか教えてもらえますか？
なんでかって、そんなもん俺が知るが。
That is a question.
この洋館を隠れ家にするって言ったのはあんただし、俺を召喚してすぐ疲れたから休むって言ったのもあんただ。そのあたり覚えてないのか？
Apparently not. Yes, before coming to Fuyuki, I did investigate suitable safe houses as potential places at the association. Among the ones I checked, yes, this mention should have been one of those. My mind grows hazy. When I try to recall what happened, I start to feel faint. I shouldn't push myself too hard right now. I have to hear what happened from my
この洋
servant.
館を隠れ家にすると決めたのは私でしょう。それには覚えがあります。そしてあなたを召喚した。
I remember indistinctly that this happened. I did form a contract with this servant in this mansion.
そうそう。で、すぐに眠ったんだよあんたは。名前だけ名乗って私が起きるまで行動するななんて言いやがった。おかげでこっちはたまりまくりだ。殺し合いに呼ばれたってのになんだってお預け食らってなきゃなんねえのかね。
Only my name. No, more importantly, what the servant is saying is dangerous. It is very reassuring that he loves fighting, but it would be a problem if he loves it more than is
待ちなさい。
necessary.
確認しますが、私たちは基本的な戦闘方針すら話し合っていなかったのですか？
There is no battle plan with him.
ないよ。きっと必要なかったんだ。あんたは事前にこの町を調べていたろうし、俺だって聖杯戦争がどんなものか呼び出された時点で頭に叩き込まれてる。要はより早く効率的に手段を選ばず他のマスターどもを殺していけばいいって話じゃんか。相談することなんてねえよ。恐ろしい顔するなあんた。そう睨むなよ。おっかねえじゃん。
You freak everybody out, Angra.
何？俺気に障ることでも言った？
ええ。あなたとは相互理解が必要なようですね。私のサーバントがそんな考えなしでは腹が立つ。
Well, that's the servant you got.
私は教会を代表する魔術師であって猛獣使いになる気はありませんから。
I stared and tried to intimidate him. Whatever, said the servant, averting his eyes.
ま、相互理解はできないと思うけど。
He mutters as if it doesn't concern
いい
him.
さ。で、何？教会の代表様はどんな戦いがお好みで？
ことは隠密に無駄な戦いは行いません。まずは敵マスターの調査を優先。今回の聖杯戦争がどういったものかを把握した後、倒すべき順番を考慮し撃破に移行します。
There were the orders relieved from the association. Received from the association. First, I have to gather information on the 3 families that administered the Holy Grail, War, Ainsburn, Tosaka, and Makiri. An investigation of the remaining 3 masters will proceed afterwards. It may be possible to convince Maggie to abandon their master status. There also may be other outstanding Maggie that ought to be taken into custody by the association. Besides, to act without proper information is an embarrassment for a Magus of the association.
は？使いっ走りの犬じゃあるまいし、何悠長に言ってやがる。
The haha.
敵は見つけたら殺せよマスター。結局は潰し合う同業だ。出会ったら最後逃げられないし逃がさないものだろうが。
I didn't need him to tell me that. I feel the same way, but I can't disobey the orders of the
従いな
association.
さい。教会は神秘を隠匿するための組織です。下手な騒ぎはできません。それに無秩序に戦えば一般人に犠牲が出てしまう。聖杯の入手は絶対条件ですが、町の人間を巻き込むことは極力避けるべきだ。
This is not only a matter of the Mages Association. The Holy Church also has involvement in the Holy Grail War. Should any damage be brought to the city, they will vigorously move in to conceal it to ensure the smooth continuance of the ritual. There is a limit to this, however. Last time in the Fourth War, there was a master they killed indiscriminately and daily. The priest monitoring and viewed the master as an enemy and penalized him severely.
それは手段を選ぶってことかな。俺には思いつかないが、勝ち残るための一環として殺しはしない方がいいとか。
勝ち残るためではありません。私とて魔術師です。必要であれば手は下します。
Yep.
ですが、それでも人として最低限守るべきものがあるでしょう。
You're talking to a non-human.
ああ。
Oh,
そりゃ、なんつうか。
No, I mean, he sounds unenthusiastic. Of course he does. The servant apathetically breathes out and...
あんたさ、霊術使ってくんない？
How about fucking not?
私には逆らうな、みたいな。そうしないと、あんたを真っ先に殺しそうだわ、俺。
So that was killing intent just now. I gulped. He is serious. He doesn't care about what would happen next. The rules of cooperation with a master for his own protection doesn't apply to him. This bastard is seriously aiming for my throat. The servant told me to use a command cell to stop him. 3 absolute rights of order that a master has. Powerful spells given by the Holy Grail. A master's trump card that can only be used 3 times but ensures that any command is followed. For that reason, I answer him
断り
immediately.
ます。飼い犬に命令される主人などいないし、飼い犬に殺される者など主人ではありません。
Ahaha, okay, lady. Whatever.
あなたは私のサーバントだ。あなたがどう動くか、あなたがいつ死に挑むかは私が決める。
If this was cool, she wouldn't be saying that shit. I forced back his bloodlust for my own. No matter what, if I use a command spell for something as frivolous as this, I had no future in this war. I clenched my right fist and started carving runes into the floor with my heel to be able to intercept an assault at any time.
なるほどね。なら考え方を変えてみるか。
There's no point trying to kill each other.
オーケー。俺はあんたのサーバントだ。飼い主には従うよ。
The servant gave in easily. It's, how should I put it, anticlimactic? And my heart was beating in excitement at the feeling that a battle was going to break out, so I could learn how powerful servants are.
なんだよ。それでも文句あんの？
いえ、問題はないけど。本当に私の言葉を理解しているのですか？
That's not what she should be asking.
ああ。できるだけ死人は出すなってんだろ。それがマスターの方針ってことは理解したよ。で、他にはまだ言っておくことってあるか？
There are many things I want to say in detail, but I have nothing else to say regarding a general plan. The rest I could do by giving orders depending on the
よ
situation.
し、なら行こうぜ。いい加減ここにいるのも飽き飽きだ。
The servant prompts me to go outside. I am still physically unstable, but I am curious about what is going on outside. And anyways, after sleeping for such a long time, I want to move around freely a
わか
bit.
りました。細かい方針は状況に応じて変えていきましょう。
I regain myself. For the time being, I'll leave Ranch behind. Right? There are limits to that sword, and I can't use it fully in my current state. After I locate the other masters, I can think about who to use it
し
on.
かしね、できるだけ死人は出すなか。いいね。そうできたら最高かもな。
The servant repeats
含み
cheerfully.
があるのなら言いなさい。私の方針に意見があるならここで型をつけましょう。
だから理解したって。おっかねえからあんたとはまだやり合わねえよ。けどさ、それは無理なんだマスター。
Aha.
死人を出さないとか周りを巻き込まないとか関係ないよ。あんたがどう頑張ったところでこの町は4日間しか持たないんだから。
The fuck? No longer than 4 days.
なんですって。
外に出ればわかる。とっくにそんな状況じゃねえってな。この町の人間は日々溢れ出してる得体の知れない連中にどんどん減らされていってるんだから。
得体の知れない連中ですって。
Aha.
そんなバカな。あなた、私の記憶が曖昧だからとつまらない狂言を。
外に出ればわかる。百聞は一見にしかずだ。
The servant stifles his laughter. As I stand bewildered, the dark shadow takes my hand and starts walking.
さあ、聖杯戦争を続けよう。バゼットフラガマクレミッツ。今度こそ君の望みを見つけるために。
This time for sure. The house was built on top of a high hill. It lies hidden within a forest separated from any human habitation. My head aches. I had thought that breathing the outside air would clear myself more or less, but instead, the cold night air only clouds my thoughts further.
どうしたマスター？まだ外に出るのは早かったか？
The servant pokes fun at me. I shake my head and keep going. My mind is still sluggish. The bright moonlight seemed to be the source of my disorientation. It's quiet. Of course, it's past 2 a.m., but the city is abnormally silent even for this time. It slightly resembles my own hometown, the port town I spent my childhood in. At night, the tide would come into the town, and people would shut themselves in their houses as if they were afraid. The empty city was almost like a ship sunk at the bottom of the ocean, prompting a younger me to want to run away from that place. I must have felt that every day. Everybody would have forgotten that I existed if I had stayed like that at the bottom of the ocean. I couldn't help thinking about the old gods that nobody remembered anymore, sharing the same cursed fate. And now Fuyuki City is being submerged into the ocean's depths too. The atmosphere is different from the one I remembered. It is too quiet. It might as well be an abandoned city. Regardless, only the presence of life is evident. I could feel almost countless numbers of creatures breathing. Surrounding me is an aura that I have never felt before. Mysterious things is what my servant said. I don't want to admit it, but it seems that there is credibility to what he says.
なんだあれ？
We've been walking for some 2 hours. The servant stops in his tracks and is now gazing at a particular
す
residence.
げえな。この辺りは見て回ったんだが、まだ残っていやがったか。
He speaks with an impressed tone. The house he is looking at is nothing more than a regular building. If there is anything that distinguishes it from the other residents, it is the one fact that the lights are
あんたは
on.
そこにいろ。まだ本調子じゃねえんだろ。一足先に俺が様子を見てきてやるよ。
Oh shit, he's about to murder them. The servant starts walking towards it on his own accord. I try to chase after him. Pathetically, I am thrown off by the moonlight. I've got to be honest here. I can't speak for the other servants, but see me? I didn't feel like doing this from the get-go. High level magic, the summoning of beings purified into the level of legends, and the giving of form to them to make them familiars. That's what servants are. Not something so cheap as just borrowing a piece of the power of the heroic spirit. No, it's actually a projection of the guy himself. A resurrection just for the Holy Grail War, a clone with a short lifespan, a guardian of humanity reborn in the modern era. Sounds nice and dandy. Autonomous weapons are pretty convenient, right? Except replicating even what's on the inside is going a little too far, don't you think? A familiar being able to think doesn't do anyone any good. That goes double for the servants. Suppose there is a familiar more powerful than its master. Now, let's say it can think for itself. There's no reason why it won't revolt. I was lucky enough to be summoned by a master that was my type of woman. Personally, I'm satisfied with her, but it looks like I'm going to be doing some disobeying. Why? Well, why not? I may not have any complaints about the boss, but I've got a hell of a lot to say about society. I feel like shit. Like I was left hanging in the morgue. Back when I was alive, the world was still lively. Nowadays, it's old and dying. Got a few 100 million years left before it kicks the bucket, and it's too late to do something about it. Being one of those fellows that knew what she was like back in the old days, it wouldn't be right to not be a little angry about her current predicament and all that. Of course, it was pretty obvious that she'd be clean dry one of these days, but damn, that was fast. Now, there's a part of me that's got to hate my own species for the filthiness, but another part of me wants to pat them on the back at the same time. The power of humanity is incredible. Oh, how morals have come and gone in the blink of an eye makes me wonder just how many new generations of humanity have been born. How many have been wiped out. I will be right back. Yep, be right back. I got water and I got some grapes. Many new generations of humanity have been born, and how many have been wiped out? A lot. Needed that water break. Oh, wait. Given how fast they are, it's too bad how they haven't come up with a kind of evolution that's environmentally friendly. I've got to hand it to them humanids. They sure did a great job at amplifying a ready-made system instead of finding a new kind of cycle. You telling me? But that means there's no future ahead, so if they can buy a little more time, it'd be nice if they'd come up with some new kind of improvement and keep going. They've already gone to all the trouble of destroying this much. Where do they want to go? Why not we exhaust the land? Why have we exhausted the land? Was this good? Was this bad? I want results and that anyone can understand. No, I want results that anyone can understand, even if the answer is that it was a failure. I don't mind one bit.
ほんと。他の連中はどう思ってんのかね。
Those of heroic spirit status must have feelings of animosity towards this era. Nope, only Gilgamesh. Not a lot of them do. Then again, heroic spirits are supposed to be on humanity's side, so that would mean they approve of whatever result humanity brings about. Just like how I do the opposite of that. Except Gilgamesh. Let's say there was this godlike absolute being as a force of good. And let's say he was summoned here in this day and age. Now, what would he do? Attempt to use the mud of the Grail to burn everything. Would he approve of it? Would he act to protect us? No. We already got an answer to that. If he approves, we face extinction. If he protects us, he'll watch on. As a matter of fact, Alea was sending Emiya to kill those humans. A sane heroic spirit would choose the latter. One with a few screws loose would happily lend a hand, and another with only one screw loose would get excited at making the world a better place. Literally, most heroic spirits did try to make the world a better place. That's why they're heroic spirits in the first place. Something like, I'm going to save the world. Well, someone who is using Excalibur already did that. Wow, I don't ever want to meet that kind of guy, let alone fight him. Aren't you him right now, though? Well, part of him. Now, as for me, there's only one thing I can do either way. I may be a heroic spirit, but I'm not that strong. Take a look at all the legends in the world and you still won't find anybody weaker than me. Yay, I'm number one, you damn lucky master. Can't get any lower than this. Easy to make up a battle plan, since all there is to do is think about how to take on the strong. I don't want to think about it, but there's a good chance that lady's stronger than me and pure fighting ability. Yikes. I love a woman who can whip my ass. A heroic spirit getting his ass kicked by a human. Oh boy, I want to disappear. Don't worry, Saber did get her ass whooped by a human too, and so did Medea, so you're not alone there.
だよな。正直いただけねえわ。あの女。
Don't cause any deaths. That's what she said. That's the way to go. Milady Magus of the House of Whatever can't expect a finer strategy that reeks of sheltered girl on honor road, fitting sense of pure humanity for a master. No, I'm pretty sure every master would have told you something similar. Like, don't get the civilians involved. Civilians who get involved die, erasing their memories. It's the best course of action. But hey, I can't do that. All I can do is kill, honestly. A bloodless victory is a pain in the ass. I'm already the weakest. I'm not going to be winning if I'm a goody two-shoes. Not going to be winning at all. This thing does have war in the name, so we ought to be relying on the slaughter technique that man had so painstakingly developed. It's not even a war, it's a battle royale. There's like 7 of you motherfuckers. 7 masters and 7 servants, so 14. 14 participants. With 2 on 2 teams. Servants are one thing, but masters are humans. It'd be way easier to take them out with mines and explosions like the last time.
ま、今はそんな時代じゃないけどな。前は物騒な時期だったからな。命の扱いは安かったんだが。
Yep. This time things are different. The Majors Association is watching also painstakingly close, plus the system of public safety that modern man has created is not too shabby. If I run wild, the other masters will figure out where Bazett is. Now, I don't mind finishing off a horde fast, but consecutive fighting on consecutive nights is going to exhaust me, so I want to avoid that. On that point, the part on Bazett's strategy about not going overboard is fine with me, so I'll try my best to follow the master's plan like a good servant would. Well then, with that out of the way, let's turn back to what we have now.
待て。何をするつもりだお前は。
Ignoring my hesitant master's voice, I'm heading to the house. I don't have to bother checking. The fact that the lights are on means there are live humans inside. Unfortunately, I don't have any human nor heat detecting abilities. My service skills can be summoned up as nothing, but that's okay. What's inside there is human. I dematerialize myself and pass through the front door. I manifest my weapon and go towards the people in the living room. Let's finish this fast and cruel like always. Now, for all I know, there could be some incident like the strongest ultra humanoid in all of human history is inside and has powers that surpass a heroic spirit. No problem whatsoever. I may be the weakest, but I can defeat the most powerful human being. Why? Because it's not something to brag about, but when it comes down to dealing with humans, I'm the strongest. Blood splashed up in the air. The inhabitants are dead. One middle-aged man, 2 boys, 1 granny, 1 old man holding a blood-stained knife. Oh, he's still alive. What a letdown. By the time I broke in, it was already over. His breath is ragged and heavy. The main culprit who massacred those 4. He doesn't pay attention to me, probably because he wants to take out the last geezer. The geezer backed himself up to the wall and is desperately shaking his head. The murder scene and the method are pretty grisly to look at. The bodies are ravaged beyond recognition. Blood, flesh, and entrails are splendidly splattered about. The choking stench of life, a living space splattered here and there. The end roll for the Brady Bunch. Damn clean for a murder scene. You'd have tore up the entire place and unnecessarily. Not one little flaw. After all, it was murder for murder's sake. No robbing, no raping, no hungering. Not one bit of that here. I saved him since he asked. I'll save him. Since it was a surprise blow from behind, the murderer is killed easily. After that, I'm back to my regular job. Killing the old man. By the time I ran into that house, it was all over. There are 5 corpses in the living room. I am able to tell by what appears to be 5 heads separate from the nose. It is the slaughter scene so grotesque that I could not have determined how many there are through any other means. 悪いな。先に済ませちまったぜ。The servants say while standing idly in a pool of fresh blood. And the servant's clutched hand is a warped dagger. A form that seems to be a mix of the fang and claws of a beast. It is meant to be gripped backhanded. I have never seen a weapon that looked so difficult to use. So that weapon, it says Noah Phantasm, is simple as a heroic spirit. おっかないぜマスター。そう睨むな。どうだ？一つ状況説明でもするか？
必要ありません。凶器と傷跡は一致しています。
The shadow laughs in agreement. There is no need to investigate any further. The situation told me that the cause of this tragedy was the servant.
私からの質問は一つです。なぜ殺したのですか？
Actually, he only killed one of them.
なぜって、これもあんたのためだぜ。俺は当たりを探しているだけだ。一人一人調べるのも、一人一人殺していくのも変わらない。要は目撃者を作らなければいいんだろ？ならよ、こうして潰していけば、いつかマスターに出会えるぜ。
お前は。
This guy, he hasn't listened to anything I said. I was prepared to accept some sacrifice once I went into battle. I am a magus and am no different from a murderer. However, still, I never desired this kind of meaningless sacrifice.
お前は人を殺すことが楽しいのか？
あ？バカ言うな。俺だって好きでやってるわけじゃねえ。こうして求められた以上、自分にできることをやっただけだぜ。
Don't be dumb.
あのさ、人型をしてるからって勘違いするなよマスター。サーバントってのは、つまるところこういうもんじゃないのか？
No, dumb ass. Servants are still human. They're just humans that have evolved.
質問に答えていない。私は人を殺すのが楽しいのかと聞いたのです。
He said no, actually. I glared at the servant. Holding that warp dagger, the servant.
とりわけ何も。第一、殺しちゃ楽しめねえだろ。いろいろ。
He directed a repugnant laugh as if he wanted me to share in his amusement.
それでも英霊か。
He's not heroic. I can't restrain myself. It's strange. I've seen people like him countless times, yet without any reason, I feel disgusted at this man's way of life. It somehow feels as if this man alone must not be forgiven, and he won't ever be forgiven.
あんたこそ殺し合いが向かないんならマスターになんざなるな。しらけるんだよ実際。
It's a turn off.
つまんね。せっかくのショーが台無しだぜ。喜んでもらえると期待してたのにさ。
How the fuck did you think that was going to cheer her up? You dumb ass.
そう。悪いけど、その期待には最後まで応えられない。今確信したわ。私たちは反りが合わない。あなたは私が最も嫌う人格だ。
Oh, there she said it, and my dog is licking. I turn my hostility towards my own servant. I direct hatred similar to annoyance at the person I have to gain trust from first. I'm not acting right. The immaturity of showing my feelings and hating someone should have been discarded long ago.
へえ。いいね。俺も基本的にあらゆるものが気に入らない。下手に気を許されるとイラつくんで、それぐらいがちょうどいい。こういうのも気が合うっていうのかね。
The servant shows no sign of caring. I hate him and he doesn't think anything of me. So there will be no cause for friction even if we despise each other, as we have no plans to bond.
けどさ、あんたは割と好きな部類に入る。
In the sexual way, obviously. Except, he just said something
な
odd.
ぜですか？あなたはあらゆるものが気に入らないのでしょ？マスターとしてあなたがどのようなサーバントかは理解できる。あなたの方向性は人間を好むものではない。
That's not actually true, young lady.
とりあえずいい女だからな。気に入らねえけど好感を抱いてるんだ。
I told you, attraction.
私が女だからという理由ですか？
Yeah.
女じゃなくていい女。あんたさ、えらくそそるんだよ。
Basically, the type he would rip apart.
体つきも好みなんだが、優等生なところとか、一般論を守ろうとしてるところとか、みっともなさすぎて見ていられない。わかる？こんな単一機能を発揮しただけの仕事じゃなく、何らかの意味を持って殺したくなるぐらい、あんたは俺を欲情させてるってこと。
The shadow laughs. Intent flows in through our connected path, so dense I can physically feel it. This servant isn't lying. He hates all things. By nature, he sees everything as an object to kill without reason or reward. There can be no other explanation. Not for this pure hatred that can turn into curse without having to use the incendiary device of magic just by existing. But that leaves me with questions. For someone with as much bloodlust as him to not kill me earlier doesn't make any
先ほ
sense.
どの話ですが、あなたはまず私を殺すと言い、それを抑えた。私に欲情しているあなたが例樹なしで、どうやって私への欲求を抑えたのですか？
ああ、あんたはマスターだからな。あんたは人間じゃないってさっきルールを作ったところ。
The hell?
まあ要するにこの世で唯一殺す気になれない生き物になったってわけ。
But the one thing he does want to kill
見
too.
てくれは女だけど中身は人間じゃないっつが攻略対象外の生物にカテゴライズしたんだよ。
Out of his playing range. She hasn't been out of mine. That was direct. For some reason, I find his answer incredibly
私
hurtful.
を人間扱いしないと？
I've heard people say before that I'm boring or that I'm not charming, but This has to be the first time I wasn't treated like a woman. No, he said you're a type of woman he likes, but he doesn't treat you as human. No, he said as a human being, but that is how it sounded to me.
あれ信用できねえか？最大限の情報なんだぜ。こんなの最初で最後の特例なんだぞ。くそ、頭くるな。こっちは本気なのに。はいはい、そうですか。形のないものは見えませんか。しょうがない。こういうのなら信用できる？
So he interpreted my silence as suspicion. He tears out a page of a notebook from the blood-soaked desk and writes something on it.
おい、これあげる。誰かに譲ったりしないように。
A certificate of exemption from murder, valid until the end of the Holy Grail War in well-written
何で
Japanese.
すかこれは。
何って？人間じゃない証明書。これなら誰が見ても、あんたは攻略対象外ってわかるだろ。
The hell? Good for you, he says, pushing the piece of paper into my hands. Yes, my judgment was correct. This servant and I are hopelessly doomed to not get along. We cannot afford to stay at the murder scene forever. Hurriedly, we leave the residence behind. I have my complaints with my servant acting without any permission, but it is already too late. By continuing to argue with him, the only thing that would result is further mistrust. However, there is one thing I feel that is strange about him. I cannot trust his servant. Masters and servants are linked. Because of that, I can feel that he is fundamentally the kind that enjoys murder and completely kills his opponent ruthlessly, no matter who or what. He is my complete opposite. I complete my mission without leaving room for personal feelings. However, this servant does so only with personal feelings. He operates only on an emotion of wanting to kill people. But despite that,
よそに行くんじゃないのか、マスター。それともあれか？ここで異常を聞きつけてきたマスターどもをはめ殺すかい？
そんな見えすいた罠にかかる魔術師はいませんし、戦闘は第2段階からです。まずは調査からと言ったでしょう。
いや、結構いそうだぜ、間抜けなルーキーは。例えば、夜の巡回に精を出して勝手に死んでそうなやつとかな。
shit, we're talking about Shiro here right now.
下調べなんてやってたら他の連中に食われるってのがわからねえんだよ。ほんと、富士の善人だね、ありゃ。
I ignore my servant's chatter and walk ahead. And yet, despite all of his negative points, I don't feel that this servant is unpleasant. He is the kind of human being that I despise the most. I cannot tolerate him on any level. So why is it that I can't completely hate him? I close my eyes and focus on our link. In exchange for the flowing magical energy, sometimes I feel something very refreshing. A feeling of homesickness rubbing against the heart. A prayer resembling longing. How hollow. That void tells me something. I don't understand the clear reason why, but it tells me this servant will never betray me. It tells me that he will lend me his chaotic will to grant my wish. We resume our patrol. This night we focused our investigation on Shinto. The Shinto investigation ends in about 2 hours. We were unable to detect any traces of Maggie. In addition, the presence of the mysterious thing the servant mentioned was confirmed, and part of me finds it hard to believe, but Fuyuki has indeed completely changed. All over, I could feel an unusual presence. It is as if we are always being watched. The city has begun to come apart at the seams ever so slightly. On a different note, while there are many traces of magical energy, there are absolutely no signs of magic being performed, which would mean that this isn't the work of a master gathering magical energy. The only feasible possibility is that there is something feeding on the inhabitants of this city unrelated to the war. No master would benefit from this. Doing this would instead force a halt to the Holy Grail War.
そうか。聖杯戦争を聞きつけた外来の魔術師なら。
That would mean there is a magus that desired the Holy Grail but was not chosen as a master. Perhaps out of a twisted desire for vengeance, he is trying to disrupt the ritual. Another possibility was he made a contract with another association to disrupt the Holy Grail War. Regardless, it is obvious that there is an 8th magus in Fuyuki.
8人目？もう一人邪魔者が増えたってのか？
断言はできませんが、その確率が高い。私の知らない魔術師が第5次聖杯戦争に介入しようとしているのは確かだ。その魔術師の目的は分かりませんが。
He was starting off by breaking the rules of the Holy Grail War. It may be best to think of him as not just my enemy, but as the enemy of all the masters.
そいつどんなやつ？
直接的な戦闘に自信がなく、広範囲の結界作りを得意としている。攻めより守りが向いているのでしょう。正しく魔導を学んではいませんね。黒魔術とドルイド思想が混同されている。
そういうんじゃなくてさ、強いか弱いかって話。
魔術師としてのスキルは初歩です。ですが、
The remaining magical energy traces were extremely dense. Magical energy is only fuel to activate magic, but by itself it has no effort. However, there are cases when it can leave behind a form only limited to those times when magical energy itself bears traits similar to magic. For example, I have heard that the Einstein gave a personality to their Holy Grail. If that personality has magical energy, then it naturally possesses the magic traits of wish granting. Since its vital activity and its function as a Holy Grail are likely directly connected to each other, it should be able to perform miracles resembling magic merely by releasing magical energy. The incarnated demons spoke of by the Holy Church also fall into this category. Those that were created as demons rather than as life forms can use higher level of magic than humans. As Magi, our magical circuits are nothing more than pseudo nerves, an ability that was added later behind our nervous system. However, demons have no need for those. All their organic functions merely serve the purpose of invoking the demonic. I hear the church calls them true demons. Different from imposters that don a hide of human concepts to become a unique identity, they are genuine demons that the Lord had commanded before man would name them, or so I hear.
何にせよ、厄介な介入者のようです。つまらない行動原理の魔術師なら取るに足りませんが、教会に雇われたフリーランスだとしたら侮れない。そういえば、前回の聖杯戦争で勝ち残ったのも確か。
A freelance magus hired by the Einsburns. His name was Emiya Kitsugu, a combat magus called in by the Einsburg who had retired from the front lines by the time I had been assigned to sealing missions. Our occupations have the tendency to intrude on each other's territory. Had he still been active, I would likely have fought him numerous times. While the situation is becoming more unstable, I can't change my policy just because of one more enemy. I will proceed with the investigation of all the masters, causing as little damage to people of the city as possible. The problem is what to do next. It is obvious that my servant's abilities are low ranking. In a straight-out fight on pure ability, he will eventually exhaust himself and lose. I have to think of an order of who to fight, but I know very well who our final opponent ought to be. The lineage of Holy Grails, Einsburn. It has been said that they have prepared the most powerful master for this war. In the past, I have fought a homunculus created by the Einsburns. Being a failed creation facing disposal, it ran away from Einsburg territory and survived by scraping off a meager existence in the human city. I was responsible for destroying it, but the results were bitter. Even considering that at the time I was still inexperienced, the Einsburn produced homunculus was tougher than any Magi. The same Einsburgs have produced a master for this battle that they believe to be the most powerful. In all honesty, I can't even begin to see any chance of victory at this stage until I discover what trick the enemy has up their sleeves. Fighting against the Einsburns is suicidal. In the forest on the outskirts of the city lies the old castle that the Einsburns control. The day we invade the forest will most likely be the day my Holy Grail war will end. The last place we come to is a hilltop graveyard for foreigners. I suppose it's because of the Einsburg casting a shadow over my mind. I feel weak, disorientated from a headache. I really didn't want to come
ど
here.
うしたマスター？考え事か？
My unease must have shown on my face. My servant is actually showing concern for my health. I allow myself to be taken in by his sudden consideration.
つまらない質問ですが、あなたは私が勝てると思いますか？
And I put into words the weak uncertainty that I had tried not to think about. The servant's expression changes. Keeping his mouth twisted with sarcasm, he turned his back
そ
to
の
me.
不安はまだ早い。勝つか負けるかなんざ。何を倒すかを決めてからなんだが。
His voice is strained. He is bent forward like a beast with prey before his eyes.
ついてねえな。どうやら悠長に悩む時間はないみたいだぜ。
He is grinning. What he sees is a master and servant. I feel a powerful flow of magical energy. The command spells on her left hand shine brightly. She is still young but appears to possess wisdom that far surpasses my
はじめ
own.
まして。ひなびた荒野の魔術師さん。どう？お互いの名を知る必要はあるかしら。
She is probably from one of the great houses. Her eyes are full of derision. To her side is another figure. I cannot tell which class she belongs to, but the fact that a servant brought her means she must be a servant. Wait, a master brought her must mean she's a servant. I removed the leather gloves inscribed with the runes of protection from my breast pocket. I take them out along with something hard. Why am I carrying this earring? Why had I tucked it away so carefully? These questions rise to the surface, but now isn't the time for that. I put the gloves on. The girl waits politely for me to make my move. I regret not bringing Ratch with me. If I survive, I'll make sure to carry it, even if I am out only for investigations. While I shouldn't use my trump card immediately, having it increases the range of my strategy.
敵の実力を測ります。あなたはサーバントの相手を。
あいよ。
Not taking any care to see what she would do, he rushed towards the girl's servant. The two figures clashed. I passed by the side and ran towards the defenseless master.
名乗り上げる名さえ持たぬ田舎者でしたのね。よろしくてよ。エーデルフェルトの手にかかることを名誉となさい。
The elder felt, right? She fired a scatter of Gunder, a single action spell preventing close combat. Her mage trap is a firearm in itself. This isn't a metaphor. Elderfelt, a noble family of Finland. the ore skills, the same Elderfields that produce many masters of the Gundyr. This generation's young head was praised as the pride of their lineage, but now that I've seen how skilled she is, I can agree. I don't block the Gundyr aimed at both sides of my thigh. I keep moving, parrying only the Gundyr that would hit my upper body with my left arm, my left fist.
素手で私のガンドを
I move in. My right fist lowered to the base of my chest, strike aimed at the side of her stomach where her kidneys are. I am blown backwards. A figure appeared from behind her, protects her from a body blow and repels me. A swordsman stands in my way. A servant. There is no denying it. That is a servant.
ならもう一人の少女は
The moment I look away to confirm the battle is over,
お願いセイバー
the other girl screams. Saber defeats my servant, just as the girl had ordered her to. How appallingly weak. With just one flash of steel, not even able to match sword against sword, but servant has his neck pierced and is already gone.
何よ話にならないじゃない今日セイバー手っ取り早く片付けなさい帰って熱いコーヒーを楽しみましょう
Saber nods silently. I am defeated without being able to prepare my weapon. So this is a saber. This doesn't make any sense. The two girls are each using a different
差
saber.
し上げが足りなかったようねエーデルフェルトの当主は常に姉妹だあなたの耳には届かなかったのかしら
Then where the hell? Oh, actually, we did meet Luvia's sister, I believe. Sisters. That is the magic trait of their bloodline. The normally apparent notion of having two successors was the reason why they were called scales. Then, the two of them are one master and summon two different sides of the same heroic
まず
spirit.
一人私たちの手にかかることを光栄に一番初めに倒されることを恥と知りなさい残るマスターはこれであと5人ですわ
Yeah, I'm just going to save this graphic because it is fucking awesome. Her voice echoed to the moon. Saber silently and without showing any hint of emotion, thrusts her sword into my chest. My conscience is being severed. The moon is cycling like a white skull. And thus comes the end of my Holy Grail War. Once again. Losing sight of the ending without conclusion. The curtain falls.